Okay, so this is probably the most notorious type of fish in Lake Champlain, you know, sturgeon.
Lake sturgeon, yes. Yeah. This is one that we brought in from the St. Lawrence River. It went by way of our Wellsboro, Pennsylvania laboratory, where they take the eggs and they hatch them and they start growing them. And we got a number of them. Some are in the Lake Champlain Science Center, some are in the Lake Champlain Museum next to the King Street Ferry Dock.
Yeah, I filmed this at the Science Center down next to the boathouse.
Marvelous fish.
Well, you know, a lot of people think that the monster may simply be a gigantic lake sturgeon, and part of their reasoning is that you see the long ski-looking nose on the animal. Occasionally, you would probably know more about this than I do, but occasionally, apparently, they porpoise around the top of the water with their snout sticking up vertically out of the water, and some people have suggested that may be mistaken for a long neck, you know. But most of the eyewitnesses that I've spoke to distinctly talk about a head and an angle from the neck, you know, and eyes and an open mouth and features such as that I don't think could be accounted for by the snout of a sturgeon. But, you know, just to be fair, I've got some footage coming up of a small sturgeon down at the aquarium next to the boat docks that is doing that with its snout sticking up out of the water.
Yeah, see those barbels in front. They sort of sense the food in the bottom, and then the mouth extends down and
here's that footage I was talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. At some point it's sort of hanging vertically, you know, and you would see that
snout coming out. Yes.
Yeah. I think, you know, the remote possibility that the monster actually could be a sturgeon. I think if it is, it's got to be an extremely large one, much larger than the 10-foot specimens that have been caught in the lake.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of those 10-foot ones. They're marvelous looking.
Yeah. And y'all never see the sturgeons on the camera, right?
No, we haven't yet.
And here we go with some lamprey vid to find any remotely closely related relatives.
Right.
And the sturgeons go back to the Triassic period, too.
No bones in the lamprey. It's all cartilaginous.
Yeah.
There's a long-nosed gar.
Yeah, they're another living fossil. They primarily thrived during the time of the dinosaurs.
Yep.
And did have a worldwide distribution. And as far as I know now, they're only found in North America.
Down the southern part of the lake, I've heard there's some really big 4-foot, 5-foot long-nosed gars. I haven't seen them down there yet, but in South Bay, in that area.
There's a bowfin. That's another living fossil.
Yeah. They
go back to about the same time as the gars. What sort of fish is that? Is that a bass?
A bass, yeah. There's a turtle sitting there.
Yeah, the snapping turtle sitting on the bottom. And all of these creatures can be found in Lake Champlain, right?
Yes. Yeah,
that's what I thought.
Good bass fishery,
And what kind of
channel catfish? Yeah. They grow quite big.
That particular catfish, the largest one right there, has a head probably about the size of a football in circumference.
Yeah. What is he, about 20, 25 pounds, I think?
Probably. Somewhere we got some footage of an American eel in there, too. I don't think it's got to the eel yet, but you know, one thing I was struck by is that, you know, there's so many of these different kind of creatures in the lake, and from what I've seen of the underwater camera footage, you rarely see very little of it. You know, there's a skull of a gar.
Yeah.
I guess. You know where that was? Where they got that at?
No.
It must have come out of the lake.
Yeah.
Do you know if Lake Champlain has basically the same fauna as most of the Great Lakes?
I think so. It's, I think, very similar to the Great Lakes.
Gars and all that do occur in the Great Lakes?
Yes. Lake Champlain is the next in size cold deep-water lake after the Great Lakes, and some people call it the 6th Great Lake.
I thought there might be some difference in the fish faunas since Lake Champlain has a much closer proximity to the ocean, that there might be a few freshwater adapted marine species in Lake Champlain that you wouldn't find in the Great Lakes.
I haven't come across it yet, but I'll take a look for it and see if anything shows up.
I don't think I have any footage of the fish they call it sheep's head on here. Now I've got some confusion about this. Some people say that the type of fish in Lake Champlain that is called a sheep's head is not the same type of fish that's known as a sheephead in the ocean.
Ocean, yeah. I usually run into them in the ocean. I haven't run into any in Lake Champlain.
There's the bowfin.
But the common names of fish, you have to be careful. People call them all funny names, and they may coincide with ocean fish, but they're not really.
We've got some footage coming up with the eel. Yeah, there he is.
Yeah.
Or she is.
Much higher in the level of development than the, say, sea lamprey. This one has all bones. It has a full mouth.
Yeah. Among the known fish in the lake, I personally feel that the eel is probably the best candidate if you wanted to take a known animal in the lake and blow it up to giant size and say, there's the Lake Champlain monster. I think, personally, that's the best candidate.
Eels get quite large, yes.
And they certainly have the serpentine appearance, you know, that people describe. Still, there, you know, are some problems with that theory.
They live in fresh water, and then they go back out to sea to spawn. They spawn down in the Sargasso Sea. But there's quite a few eels in Lake Champlain and the tributaries and the lake.
And they're all female, right?
Yep, they're all female. The males tend to stay in the estuary part of the St. Lawrence. That's basically the way they come in.
The snapping turtles, too, they're very ancient animals. They go back, I believe, to about the time of the dinosaurs from the late Cretaceous, I believe. But I just think it's remarkable that a lot of the fish that thrive in Lake Champlain are considered to be living fossils, you know, which is obviously remarkable, and, you know, kind of ties in with the idea that, you know, speculation that there may be some other sort of prehistoric things surviving in there, not too, you know, far-fetched, really,
No.
if you think about it. Yeah, I got some great footage here of the eel.
Yes.
At some point, you can see the snapping turtle bite the eel. It's coming up. Yeah.
Snapping turtle goes after all those fish in the tank there, and some of the fish you can see a little nick out of their caudal fins and the like.
So in the lake, in the wild, do the fish kind of converge in groups like this of different kinds of fish?
Yeah, there's, I think, a schooling of the fish in the lake. They may not, all the species like you have in the tank here may not be the same, but all the bass may be in a bass pod, so to speak, moving around the lake and the like.
Is it difficult to pinpoint areas such as that to know where they're at, so you could put the underwater camera down and get footage like this straight out of the lake?
You could probably figure it out because it's all temperature dependent. The fish have an ideal temperature that they sit at, and if you figured that out, you could figure out where the fish are.
So it would just take some time to sit down and do it. So far, nobody's really attempted that here at Lake Champlain.
Well, like around the breakwater in Burlington, you won't see the fish during the summer because the water is too warm for them. But when the water starts cooling down in the fall, the fish start moving into the breakwater area, and you could find them at,
There he goes.
Yeah.